So the block editor is pretty great. And with every new iteration, there are new features coming out, and that is awesome. However, you don't always want all of those features in every project. Sometimes you want to be able to modify them, sometimes you want to be able to remove them, and sometimes you want to be able to enable ones that are not enabled out of the box, right? So if you go Googling right now, the main way people talk about doing all those things is with theme.json. And theme.json is great. It's a great file. It's a great idea. I've done an entire introductory video on it before, and I think that it is truly the way forward. However, if you have an existing project, it may be pretty complex, and it's not necessarily worth it to add theme.json as a file to that theme unless you're prepared to also deal with all the unintended side effects that could happen from adding this file that controls a lot of things about your theme. And does this dynamic style sheet generation? I mean, there's a lot going on. There has to be other ways that we can deal with the new features and curate them without theme.json. There are, existing add theme support calls that you can make, and some of them work and some of them don't. But sometimes they're just a big clutter in your functions.php file because there's so many of them. They follow different patterns. They don't all seem the same way. I mean, there's a lot going on there. But there is this really handy dandy filter called Block Editor Settings All that lets you control all the settings of the block editor from one simple function. And that's what we're going to look at today. So the two scenarios we're going to go through are: one, what if you have an older theme and you want to opt into a new feature that isn't enabled out of the box? And two, what if you have an existing project and you want to opt out of a feature that is enabled out of the box? So let's get started. Okay, so here I have a fresh new install of WordPress 5.9, and the only plugin I've installed is Superlist Block, which is what we're going to be using in our example. So let's say you're an older theme, 2020, and it doesn't have support for padding, right? Padding is a spacing feature that WordPress has had since 5.7, and you want to be able to use it because the Superlist Block supports it, and it's going to be super useful for you. So if I go into Pages and I go Add New, and I add the Superlist Block, you can see in the inspector, there is no spacing area that lets you control the padding of this block. So let's go ahead and add that. I'm going to hop into the the code editor. And here I have the WP config file for this installation open. And I'm just going to turn on debug mode so we can spit out all the settings that Block Editor Settings All allows you to control, and we'll take a quick look at it. As you can see, I've got some handy dandy keyboard shortcuts that let me add these settings really quickly. Then I'm going to hop into the functions file of the 2020 theme, and I'm going to add this filter. So it's called Block Editor Settings All. Okay. And I'm going to name my function. And this filter has two arguments. Okay, so let's open up our function here. And those two arguments, one is editor settings. This is the array essentially that we'll be modifying. And then the editor context, which lets us know, hey, are you in the post editor? Maybe you're not in the post editor. If you're not in the post editor, don't do anything. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that we're always returning editor settings so nothing goes weird. And then here we're going to dump all of the information inside editor setting into our debug log. And I've got a handy dandy shortcut for that too. Okay, I'm going to put editor settings in here. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm gonna refresh this page right here because it is a block editor. And now we have a debug file, and you can see just how long this thing is. Oh my goodness. It has so many things in it. It has block patterns and basically all the settings that are possible. But I think the most important part of this entire array is actually near the top. Once you get past the styles in CSS, some of the short CSS that's right over there, there's block categories, and then there is this wonderful little area. Okay, so you can do these already with Add Theme Support. If I pop into Theme Support in the Block Editor Handbook, it shows you all these different calls like Add Theme Support Custom Spacing, and that will do the trick. But it's good to know about this handy filter because it just keeps things all tidy and makes it easy for you to basically control not just the things that those theme supports let you do, but modify a lot of these other things as well, like image sizes or the max upload file, etc. So we here want to enable custom spacing. So it looks like it's in the top level of the array, and in this case it's a little bit hard to see, but it is in the top level. So all we have to do in order to enable this is grab editor settings, and we're going to grab that specific term right there, pop that in and make it true. And now I will take out the error log, save this, go back to our page, refresh, and now when I click on Superlist, boom, there is a brand new dimensions area, and now I can add padding. 12 pixels, let's say. If I give it a color, not that color, this color, you can kind of see the effect. Make it 35, and boom, there is padding. So that is how you can add custom spacing or enable one of the opt-in features from a theme support, but do it instead with block editor settings all. Okay, so what if you want to remove a feature that is enabled out of the box? For example, I know that on almost every project, I always have to get rid of this dropCap setting in the paragraphs. So let's quickly add just a little bit of text here. And we're going to get rid of this dropCap setting from the same function using block editor settings all. And it's going to be great. My designer will be so happy. Okay, so I'm going to hop back into debug log. And I'm going to look for dropCap. Okay, there it is, dropCap. And it looks like it is inside typography, which is inside something else. So let me just kind of scroll. Okay, so it's actually inside experimental features. And that's where many of these new things are right now. So it's easy to say that, if you're looking for something, first check if it's inside experimental features. And you could just dump specifically just the experimental features part of the array just to test. So here we're gonna go editor settings, and I'm just gonna copy that, use double underscore, like so, and then inside it, typography, and then dropCap. Oh. And we're gonna set that to false. Okay, I've saved that, and now I'm gonna save this as well and refresh. And boom, there you go. We've got typography, but we don't have the dropCap feature. If I open up appearance or letter case or letter spacing, which are all enabled by default and you would want to get rid of if you like, none of that has dropCap. And there you go. That's how you use block editor settings all with a little bit of var dump sort of exploration. Hope that helps.